She called the police and had been out all day looking for him. Now, travelling along a country lane, she could see a figure in the road, staggering down the pavement, and, as her car approached, Callum stepped in front of it, forcing her to slam on the brakes. Wide-eyed and screaming, he began to push against the bonnet. In Southampton, 14-year-old Lucy was in trouble. They'd said it would be straightforward. But then, as she came out of the station, it all went wrong. Someone robbed her. It was as if they'd known she was coming. As if they'd known what was in the bag. A punch, a grab, gone. She couldn't exactly go to the police. She stood in shock. And it wasn't the bruise on her face that caused her to shake, nor the cut on her hand as the bag was snatched away. It was the thought of explaining to the boss that she'd just lost his drugs. Uncle didn't care about all of this. Uncle didn't care a jot. He just sat in his crack den playing with his Rambo knife and his roll of 20s. He had a problem with a rival in Reading, but one of the kids was dealing with it. After all, it's a dog-eat-dog world out there. Maybe someone would come for him one day. But he'd be ready. Uncle was numb to it. He'd seen so many things that he couldn't unsee. It didn't matter anymore. It was just business. In Ipswich, 17-year-old Tavis was outside some shops when he spotted the boys getting out of the van. He knew this was going to be trouble. His home was just down the street, and he began to jog towards it. There were what? 5 or 6 of them, moving with purpose. The kids from J Block, taunting as they ran, jabbering about revenge. Something must have happened. Tavis picked up his pace. His jog turned to a sprint. He was fit. But some of these J Block boys were fast and big. He could see the hedgerow leading up to the Baptist church. His heart was thumping. His enemies were on his street. They were closing in when he slipped. Disaster. He tried to get up, but there was a shove. His face was slammed against the concrete. He twisted as they set on him. His ankle turned so hard his trainer came off his foot. Then 2 of them had him pinned to the ground. Only for a second did he see the knife, a long blade in someone's hand. Then they were on him like he was a piece of meat. He felt a searing pain in his leg, his stomach, his chest, blow after blow, his body filled with terror and adrenaline. What had he done to deserve this? Hang out with his mates? Appear in a YouTube drill video? Then they were running. He was on his feet. There was a white flash, an almighty thud. Something cracked against his head like a block of ice. Only it wasn't a block of ice. Blood and glass splattered over his clothes. A parting gesture. A bottle smashed over the crown of his head. But he was still upright. He was staggering now, still trying to get home. Would he even make it to the top of the road? He reached for the gaping hole in his head. His hand was dripping red. His white t-shirt was also soaked with blood. His life was draining away from him, seeping into his clothes. And for what? A short while later, in the River Gipping, there was a plop on the water surface, and a knife, the knife used to kill Tavis, sank to the bottom of the river. The same riverbed that happened to be inhabited by cocaine-infused shrimp. Indeed, it was the same month that King's College published a report in Environmental International which found that the most frequently detected substances in the Suffolk shrimp include cocaine and ketamine, and that cocaine in particular was found in all samples tested. Dr. Leon Barron from King's concluded, "Such regular occurrence of illicit drugs in wildlife was surprising. We might expect to see these in urban areas such as London, but not smaller, more rural catchments.